I see the power that hip hop can have right now on the world, not just in the African American community. And the only time in the Black community that we started even talking about gay sexuality or the LGBTQ in the Black community is when like Uzi and Thug got on like purses and shit.
What's up, geniuses? This is For the Record, and I'm your host, Rob Markman. Now, today we have two very special guests, okay? The first is from Chicago. He has a new single. He has a new EP out. It's called Be Yourself, all right? Taylor Bennett, man.
Hey, Tig, what's up, my guy? How you feeling, Rob? Always good
man.
to be up here, man.
Great to have you. And right next to him is my man, Myles E. Johnson, author, writer. He's written for the New York Times. He's received flowers from Beyonce. And he's even written his own children's book called Large Fears, which is about a queer Black child just dreaming to go to Mars, right?
Right.
That's an amazing story, man. Myles, man, welcome to For the Record.
Thank you for having me.
Nah, no doubt. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's nice outside, man.
Yeah, it's real nice outside. These lights are hot, but me and Taylor are committed to these jackets. Myles is that velvet?
Yes.
Committed to that.
Had to come to Genius. Lux.
I feel you, my brother. Taylor, I want to talk to you about Be Yourself, which is your new EP.
Yeah.
And also the single. It's really like, you know, when you listen to it and you had played it for me early, even before it came out, and I felt blessed for that, it's really a coming of age story, right? Like, 'cause you kind of run through it all. Your mom and your dad's relationships, their up and downs, struggling in school.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about your IEP and actually making it and being able to tell the teachers to kiss your ass, the death of friends, you know, and recently, you know, you came out last year as well and you deal with that. I want to know, what was the moment that inspired that song? Like, when did the light bulb click? Like, yo, this is something that I have to write and this is how I'm going to put it down.
Man, honestly, I was on tour, my last tour, and it was all right, but it wasn't great. You know, like, it was a couple hundred people, some of them were sold out, but I just, you know, I felt like, you know, I needed more, and I felt like I needed to look deeper into myself as an artist and figure out what Taylor Bennett needs to do right now, what he wants to talk about and what he feels, you know. And I think looking at so many traits and all these different things that were happening, it's real easy to get lost in the world as an artist, you know what I'm saying? And I think that bulb clicked on, and I thought back to when I was a kid. I used to grab my skateboard and I'd go outside, I'd run around and ride my board, put my iPod in, and I just skate around for like 3 hours, you know what I'm saying? Just not to hear my parents arguing or, you know what I'm saying, deal with whatever's going on. And you know, the music that I was listening to was like Lupe Fiasco, you know, like Twista, Kanye, like.
Oh, you was real Chicago with it.
Real,
you
man,
was true to your city.
You already know how I'm rocking. But the point is, the feeling that music gave me, it let me see brighter options and brighter perspectives of the future. And, you know, that's what I think our youth needs right now, is to be able to look at people the same skin tone 4 or 5 years from now that are successful, because a lot of those kids, especially LGBTQ kids and Black kids and minority kids and period, just kids all around the world, a lot of them feel like they can't even make it till tomorrow.
Right.
You know, so that was like the inspiration. I wanted to put myself out there on a platform because I wanted to be judged, you know. And I know we talked about this, you know, just in various topics, but the idea of this project, it's a roundtable discussion. Even if you're homophobic and you say, hey man, this shit gay, you gotta talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta say some shit like that, and your homie gotta step up possibly and be like, man, bro, don't say that shit to me, my cousin gay. For you to be like, man, all right, maybe I'm tweaking. Right. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's an isolated conversation.
Right. It is a conversation starter, and I want to go to Myles because, you know, the single art is just Taylor kind of right sitting there in some very skimpy drawers with the birthday hat on, and
I saw it, yeah.
just being himself. Mm-hmm.
You're kind of popular.
You had a great reaction on Twitter. Like, immediately noticed your tweet and your reaction to it. What was your reaction when the cover dropped?
Well, I'm in a little Twitter bubble, gay Black Twitter bubble, and the same day that you dropped it, we were having this big conversation about body positivity and like kind of this like one singular type of body that like we kind of just abs and ripped, and I'm like, well, I'm not that, and I know so many people, other people who are not that, so I thought it was really cool that you have your platform and you were like, well, this is my body and I'm gonna show it off. And,
Thank you so much.
And yeah, so we were just having that conversation about it around Twitter.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So automatically, it's funny, and the reason why I bring that up is because you say you want this to be a roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
We're lucky that we could sit with you here and have this discussion. Right. But when the project drops, when the art drops, it'll force friend groups, Twitter bubbles to start having conversations. Like what was happening with like exactly what you intended happened as soon as you dropped the cover art.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is it? I feel like you told me. Was it your dad or something that told you you should have busted out some
push-ups? That's what I was
gonna
say. Yeah. So my pops called me too because my pops was like, he's my senior advisor. You know what I'm saying? At my label. So he was like, man. He was like, I don't know if you want to put this out. You sure you want to put this out? You might want to do some push-ups and whatnot because it was during the winter. I hadn't been in the gym. And I was like, no, that, like you said, that was the whole purpose. Because when you say be yourself, you don't mean just be gay, be bi, be a lesbian. Like it means be yourself, be a good person. You know what I'm saying? I think very, very often, just right now in the world, it's crazy. There's very, very high amounts of suicide rates because people feel like they can't fit in, but you're not supposed to fit in. And I think that if mainstream media wasn't so pinpointing when they want to rock with certain communities, and it was a 24/7 thing, a lot more people will have a lot more options to find themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to do as an independent artist is I want to offer a comfort zone for everybody. And that's why I'm doing be yourself, you know what I'm saying? Not be like me or be like, because I know that I don't want my fans to do that and I know nobody else should be anybody else but themselves. You know what I'm saying? Be the best you. Gotta be great,
Word. So, Taylor, last year you came out and you told the world that you were bisexual, and in hip hop, and man, hip hop to me is everything. Hip hop, I feel like gave me everything. It's the reason I'm sitting here today, right?
Yeah.
And I really do believe in the hip hop community, and hip hop is a genre which brings a lot of people together, right?
Yeah, me too.
But we can often be closed-minded as well, right, and steeped like in bad tradition, right? And what kind of reaction when you had came out on Twitter when you announced to the world that you were bisexual? I want to know what kind of reaction were you expecting from the hip hop community in particular, and then the reaction that you got if there was any variation or difference.
The thing that I always say, which is funny, is that the first reaction from anybody when the tweet came out, because it was a tweet, wasn't people like, oh my God, like, why didn't you tell me? It was like, oh my God, somebody's hacking your page right now. And for the first 5 to 10 minutes, even 30 minutes to an hour, I had the constant thought on my mind and the option to say that I just got my account hacked, because that happens. And somebody said something crazy. And the only reason why I didn't was because as soon as I came out, the support that I got from my fans was so loving and so caring that I was like, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? It took me a year, before I made this project. And, I got to learn more about my community, the people that I'm fighting for, the things that I'm trying to change before I could come out and speak upon a topic, And that's why for a while I was silent. But, I was really learning, and it's a beautiful community. It's beautiful. And that's, I can see the transition. Like you said, hip hop's given me everything. You know what I'm saying? I think I've only done 3 Pride shows in my life. You know what I'm saying? But hip hop from day one, that's what I've done, and, no matter if I was gay, straight, hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And hip hop is for everybody, and it is evolution. That's what it is. Hip hop moves the world, and that's why we're controlling the wave and the culture of everything that's going on right now. And I believe that too very strongly. And that's why I see the power that hip hop can have right now on the world, not just in the African American community. Something that I was talking about earlier is cops killing black kids, mass shootings in gay nightclubs in Miami. And the only time in the black community that we started even talking about gay sexuality or the LGBTQ in the black community is when Uzi and Thug got on purses and shit. Right. And believe it or not, that's when this topic is now a very big thing. Everybody's talking about it, and Not saying that they're culture icons or anything like that, but what I'm saying is that when we get in tune, when our culture gets in tune with something, we're a movement, and we know that. We've seen the things that we can do. We've seen the oppressions that we can overcome. You know what I'm saying? And when we get our machine moving, it's like go time. And that's what I'm really seeing right now. And I see the rest of the world looking at us and the rest of the world looking at Black America and seeing how we're moving and seeing the direction that we're going in. And a lot of people are excited because they know something big is happening. Everybody feels it. That's why you're scared to walk down the street with a hoodie on, like, shit finna, you know what I'm saying? Go down, you know what I'm saying? So,
Myles, I want to go to you because obviously, and I want you to add on to what he was saying. Like, you know, I sitting from where I sit, I'm like, yo, hip hop gave me everything. Recognize where it's problematic,
Right.
But I want your perspective. Like, is hip hop all inclusive? Is hip hop as all inclusive as we think? What's kind of the duality of that argument?
So we have something in common. Like the first culture I was ever a part of was hip hop. My sister gave me like Digable Planets and Tribe, and so I've always just been, that's the culture that I feel the most a part of. I have a column on OK Player, and when I got that, I was like, oh shit, I made it. Like I was like reading the forums in like middle school.
Yeah, if you got a column at OK Player, your hip hop is fucked.
And they
you
and they
can't get
called
more
it
hip hop.
OK Mother. I was like, yes, let's go. But I think hip hop is really it's wild because I feel like hip hop is just behind culturally. And I feel like it's always two steps. And I think that's because so much about hip hop means you have to be this kind of like stereotypical patriarchal man. But I also think that this weird thing happens when you can be kind of like hip hop and you can also dress a certain type of way. But it's like you just can't confirm it. That's what was so weird. That was what's so interesting to me about Taylor coming out was that Taylor off of just like visuals is like not, no offense, is not the gayest thing I've ever seen. But then I'll see like Lil Uzi Vert or Young Thug and I'm like, hold up. But it's like what is the most compromising thing about Taylor is the fact that he just confirmed something.
Right.
Which is to me wild, which is wild to me. I think so much about it is fear, and I think so much about it is we just have to, hip hop is a part of Black culture.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that what we really need to do is start being honest about Black history and art and start recognizing that before even hip hop came along, that queer people have always been a part of Black art. So we have to like recognize that, you know, Langston Hughes, Lorraine Hansberry, James Baldwin, Bessie Davis, Ma Rainey. We have to like recognize that all these huge Black artists that we covet were also queer, because I feel like sometimes in hip hop we pretend like it's new, or we pretend like, oh, this is some like weird shit, but I'm like, no, it's not. Like we've been on this.
could I comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
My bad.
No.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I definitely feel you. I'm glad that like I could actually have a conversation with somebody that's Black and is recognized. So do you think that it's hip hop that's culturally two steps behind, or do you think that it's the Black community? Because I think very often people make the misunderstanding that there's a disconnection between the LGBTQ community and hip hop, but there's a much larger gap, I think, with the LGBTQ community and Black people. And even though we used to march in civil rights, I think mainstream media, the idea for me, and I'm sure possibly for you, but for me, the reason why I didn't come out for so long was because I knew that as a Black man, I was already a second-class citizen. And I knew that if I was Black and I was gay, I was less likely to be successful. So do you think that that has any part to do with, you know?
From my perspective, I think that hip hop is controlled. I think culture, Black culture, is usually controlled by cis heterosexual Black men. They have the most power.
Or white people.
So that's like, we're talking about layers. There's layers of control, right? So I think when we're talking about, if we're having like an internal conversation about hip hop and about Black culture, then we have to know that like when a cis heterosexual, usually more masculine Black man says something's cool, something's cool.
Right. That's right.
From Jay-Z to Prince.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I think that like hip hop, because it came out as something that was centering cis heterosexual Black men at first, right? It took a while for like even like a Roxanne Shante. Even now, we're having like this female rap renaissance, but it's 2018. You know what I mean? So it's decades after like the birth of it. So I think that's one of the reasons why we go a little bit slower. It's because the people who are in control of it are cis heterosexual Black men.
One of the things, and just from a historical context, and I know you guys know, but even for the audience, is that, when you think about where hip hop was birthed, really, and the MC, it, really just started as, I'm better than you. My DJ is better than your DJ.
Right.
So it was bragging, boasting, and then a lot of that, because it was male dominated, turns into, I'm more of a man than you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This, that, and the third.
I feel
So it is steeped in that very macho and Black male bravado, right?
Right.
And the stereotypes that come with that. I growing up in the 90s, I remember the hip hop media, Wendy Williams, it was a big topic. Back when she was on radio in New York, who's the gay rapper? There was rumors of a gay rapper in New York. Who's the gay rapper? Who's the gay rapper? And trying to unmask.
Because I'm a culture geek, I know like I remember reading Angie Martinez's memoir about her getting into a fight with Wendy Williams because she called Q-Tip, like, who she was going out with Q-Tip at the time, and called Q-Tip gay, and I just remember being like, that's a great piece of hip hop history.
Yeah. I mean, there was rumors Q-Tip was a part of that. Eric Sermon's name came up. Like, there was all these names that came up, and it was almost like a witch hunt in hip hop to find the gay rapper, right?
Right.
And looking back, it was totally ridiculous. But if that was today, that's on Boss Up, and that's the headline every day on Boss. It was the big. Wendy Williams was Boss Up for us at the time, so it was the biggest thing at the time. And I can even admit falling into that as a kid and growing up. Like I remember hip hop slang, right? No homo. So I used to let it fly. Nah, no homo. Nah, no homo. Until I grew up and kind of realized, within, like, oh shit, that's offensive.
Right.
Like, not even knowing myself that I was offending anybody by, discounting or, not validating even their existence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I certainly didn't mean it.
Right.
But it was hip hop. It was just what you do. So, back to what I said at the beginning, hip hop also steeped in bad tradition. Is sometimes just because we used to do something or something was somewhere in the 90s or the early 2000s or this is hip hop, how it started, doesn't mean that it can't and doesn't mean that it shouldn't change, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that it can change really easily because before, I guess, hip hop culture got to a certain place, and even like during like that kind of transition time, like before maybe like the gangster rap like kind of happened, like you have to look at like Dr. Dre was dressing. So like
sequence.
Yeah.
Sequence down.
So they were like in this like post disco, post like house music era, which is like a gay Black era, and they were still dressing like it was. You dressing like how gay folks were dressing because we were ahead of that culture. You know what I mean?
Well, there is also the criticism that gay culture, queer culture fuels pop culture, right? So when you have artists like Thug or Uzi Vert, who, to my knowledge, hasn't identified or aren't gay. I don't think they came out, but they bend gender norms,
right?
Or even Myles, you had wrote a great article for Noisy about Big Frida, being sampled on Beyonce's Formation, being sampled on Drake's Nice for What, but we never actually see her, right? So gay culture fuels hip hop tremendously, but yet we don't see gay artists on the forefront. We don't get that.
So I think it goes back to that confirmation thing that I was saying, where you could do everything but just say, "Oh, I fuck with gay people." But you can literally do like Young Thug was just in a dress. And that was just...
I mean, I think like the over reality though is that like, should there have to be, is this something that is a hip hop problem or is it a Black community problem? I think that hip hop is fueled by African American culture. I think that, like you said, it started off about the DJs, who's the best DJ, who's the best rapper, but eventually over time living in the oppressed neighborhoods and the places that we come from, we ended up turning our music into art. And we ended up putting these stories and talking about this music. Something I talked to you about the other day, I was saying, there's no other culture, I believe, in the world besides African Americans that can glorify a watch because we've been deprived of it so long. I bet you anybody else, or a lot of people that aren't my skin color probably have friends that have these watches. I'm the only one out of a lot of my friends that have this watch. So I can glorify this in a song for 4 minutes and make you feel like you've never felt about it before. That's my talent. And we don't own our talent. Like, and that's kind of what I'm saying is that African Americans' daily lifestyle, even you saying no homo, like you not in the rap game, like that's what affected me. Like that's why I didn't come out, because all my friends were saying, you know what I'm saying, that's gay. You know what I'm saying? His faggot ass, like his bitch ass, like, and that's what makes people feel uncomfortable. The music is what fuels it, but us listening, us supporting it in the community, that's what it's about, you know. And that's why as a hip hop artist, I can step out and I can say, hey, you know, this is how I feel is about, but I'm not trying to impact the hip hop culture. We're trying to make the conversation a mass thing. Something that you talked to me about, my publicist said that a lot of these magazines that are independently ran and funded by gay black writers, the only funding they can get from sponsors is for AIDS treatment.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about black gay male in America, you think about dirty. And that's how I felt. That's not hip hop.
So
You know?
right. So how do we start? How do we start to change the conversation? I mean, you know,
I think this, like just talking about it, I think people aren't aware.
Yeah, and I think that we have so many like different, like again, like these bubbles and these pockets where we're having conversations, because I can come here and talk to you and like the conversation is about being gay.
Right.
Which to me is like I've been liking niggas my whole life. So like it's old, like I'm like 27 now. But for other people, it's like really fascinating. So I'll definitely talk about it. But then when, just like I told you earlier, when I'm like in those internal conversations, we're talking about like body and like
and
all
way more.
progress, like we kind of like dug deeper. So I think that it is about having these conversations on different platforms, like not just having it on those like just the gay platforms, or when it's straight platforms, it's just like, so you gay.
Right.
How long that been going on? Like, let's actually have complex conversations about queerness in hip hop, you know, and different things that aren't just about your identity and your like sexual practices.
Well, one of the things that was dope and that I didn't know about you, I had did, you know, my research on you as well, and knew the tweets, knew about the flowers of Beyonce, knew about the book. I ain't know that one of the first things you listened to was Diggable Planets. Me being from Flatbush, Brooklyn, and them repping Flatbush, that was one of my favorite groups growing up because of just the vicinity of where we go. So as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
we gonna talk.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, on a hip hop level.
I remember listening to La Femme Fido and like just being mesmerized about the storytelling. Like I of course love writers like Hemingway and like Toni Morrison, but like rappers taught me really how to write. Like, and even now when I get things edited, my like editor will be like bars. Like it won't be like, oh, that's a good line. It'll be like bars, and I'm like, I know, because that's kind of who taught me how to be clever and witty and engaging. Were like rappers, and yeah.
You know, one thing, and the conversation, you're right. The conversation comes up as a very like surface conversation when it does come up. When we see Thug wear a dress on his album cover. You know, and it kind of stays in one place and then it goes away and we never quite deal with it or have, not that there's anything to deal with, but have the conversation as a community and how we all feel. I want to talk about just music as a whole in general in the LGBTQ community, right? And get your thoughts, because, you know, I think in part, gay women are accepted in music, and a lot of that has to do with the male gaze and fetishization, right? And, you know, we've seen a number of gay men come out. You know, we've seen Frank Ocean come out. We've seen Tyler allude in his lyrics, and we love those guys because they're amazing. Like, I decided that I was a Frank Ocean fan before I knew who he fucked with. Like, it didn't matter. So we love Frank Ocean. You know, what's the entry point for the conversation with the rest of the LGBT community? Because we're talking about the transgender community. You know, people who just identify in different ways. It's just not, you know, gay, straight, or bisexual, right? And I don't think we've gotten there yet. I love to see Big Frida having a moment right now, which I think is dope, you know. But how do we broaden that conversation past just gay, you know, homosexual, bisexual, straight, you know what I mean?
I think the same people who I think are culturally in control, which in my opinion, in hip hop and in the larger black community, is cis heterosexual black men. They have to say, you kind of have to start the conversation. You have to kind of like leverage your like influence and your privilege to say, this is what I'm thinking is interesting. This is what I think is cool. Like even with Drake, even though I did like critique the fuck out of him in that piece, I did think it was cool that he used Big Freedia because it just transformed somebody's career and how they're seen with where it's like, oh, Drake fucks with somebody or something, or that's a horrible example because they're like in.
We know what you mean. This hip hop vernacular.
Yeah,
Jay fuck with Big Freedia,
but
man.
no, not even just that. I was gonna say, what I was gonna say was like just in the same way, like if Pusha T tells you somebody's dangerous,
right?
You're gonna believe him if they're trans, gay, or whatever. Like you're gonna be like, if Pusha T says it, then people have that. I think people with.
I think it's also something that was just very interesting as I'm like looking around these amazing records that you guys have up here. Is that I realized like a lot of these different people, no matter if it's DMX, no matter if it's LL Cool J, no matter if it's Nas, as a kid, especially, you know what I'm saying, one that didn't grow up with both of his parents, you know, at the same time, I know a lot of my friends looked up to a lot of these artists as father figures. Like Jay-Z is like, I never really know Jay-Z, but when I met Jay-Z for the first time, I was like, you like my second dad. Because Jay-Z is like, he taught me how to be fly. Like he taught me how to carry myself like a businessman. Like he taught me how to be gangster and he taught me how to be smooth and how to get paid at the same time. You know what I'm saying? By listening. Like, and what I'm saying is that a lot of those people, like I think these children, like especially for me, I'm a music head. I think I have like a musical family of people that I really don't know. And I think all of us can kind of recognize that with that because we love music, no matter if it's Auntie Beyonce that's sending you flowers, you know what I'm saying? Or Uncle Ebro, you know what I'm saying? No, for real. Like, and we're reflections of everybody. The problem is that we're the only culture that really has to look at our artists as idols. They have to look and compare Jay-Z and Beyonce to Barack Obama and Martin Luther King and shit like that. And all of those people, like, we're reflections of them. And it's just very, very, I guess, ironic that it's also a marketing business. And I also have to dress and wear a certain jacket because I need to get a certain amount of impressions. But to some other kid, he looks at me every night in his room and he says, thank you, Taylor, for letting me know I could be myself.
Well, the same way that listening to Lupe, listening to Kanye West, listening to Twist in Chicago.
But what I'm saying is that it's not. What I'm saying is that the black culture, as a black culture, I think we have to not just look at the hip hop community, but look at black fathers. Okay. I think we need to look at, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that hip hop definitely includes, but I'll say that I've never heard anything in hip hop that I haven't seen in the hood. Like, I just haven't, you know what I'm saying? Now, I think there's definitely extreme barriers but I think right now we're getting to them. And what I see right now is I see an opportunity to open the door. The door is cracked, right? Like we're talking about Thug in a Dress, like we're talking about Uzi. They're not doing it by accident. And I'm not saying anything, but what I'm saying is that there's an opportunity now, which is happening. And like, thanks to people like you, like Rob, that are having us on this platform to talk about, like, this open discussion is going to travel. You know what I'm saying? I've never had a conversation, and I think I do need to be in seats next to you. Mm-hmm. I need to be here, you know what I'm saying? And we need to be on your platform. Like, people need to see 3 different black guys of different shades and different sexualities be like, yo, like, we successful when we on TV, and 2, like, we moving, like, and we together.
And I need you all here too, because for me, you know, I want to be an ally. I want to be a proponent for change. You know, we want here at Genius to use this platform to be progressive. Me, admittedly, sometimes I don't know where to start. Again, like the Frank Ocean example, I decided I was a Frank Ocean fan before I knew his sexuality. Now, Frank Ocean came out first, and it was just like this thing, and I'm still not quite sure how Frank identifies as gay or bisexual.
Nobody is.
Right. So, but, you know, if you just came in and said, you know, LGBTQ, you know, community artist, you know, gay, bisexual artist, Frank Ocean has a new album out, I might not have listened to it. Right. Maybe not on the first, because I might have felt like, oh, it wasn't for me. And so there's still a closed-mindedness. And I think even people who want to be allies sometimes don't know where they fit in the conversation. How do I get in? You know?
And I think the push on, like what Taylor was saying, was I think the reasons why we do focus on hip hop is because I think that, like, just historically, Black people have to have used art We never had like a lot of like political power.
That's all we have. It's
so
art.
we have
That's
art.
what I'm
So art
saying.
is functions as a lot of different things for us. Art and church function as 101 things for Black people that other cultures might be like, why are you making such a big deal? Like, no, our protest started in church, and some of our most, you know, divisive, radical ideas
like
happened in music. So you exactly down to you know, spirituals that enslaved Africans would say, like those are also kind of like, this is how we escape in this shit tonight, but this is how we can say it without being caught. So music has a huge multi-dimensional space in Black culture, and I think that's how come I always take it back to hip hop, because sometimes I do feel like, yes, hip hop can be this kind of reporting of what's going on, but it also can be this kind of like role modeling of what can happen. So I think it's easier to talk right now and say like, let's like role model this. Like if when Jay-Z, if like, I love Ghostface Killer, right? Can't Go to Sleep is like one of the best, his verse on that is like one of the best verses I've ever heard in my life. If Ghostface Killer, when I was 12, said, yo, I fuck with gay people, that would have changed the course of like my life in a lot of ways when it comes to self-esteem, and then a lot of other people's like lives too who weren't gay, and that it could have did the reverse of what Taylor's saying. So that's why I kind of like focus on hip hop culture, because I think that it can be this kind of like role modeling mechanism.
So sometimes it's just as simple as saying, I fuck with gay people.
If Ghostface said that, I think that when Jay-Z...
sometimes it is definitely that simple.
Yeah, Jay-Z, like my mother's a lesbian too. I know I have a gay-ass family. But like, my mother's a lesbian, and when like Jay-Z, like...
made that song.
And I'm grown, and I'm still like, yo, Jay-Z has a gay mom too. Like, and he grew up poor with a gay mom. Like, yo, like that still affirms me in a way that like I'm not a child, but that still like affirmed me in this like powerful way.
So like, I kind of feel like, and that's what I'm saying, you know, like I think hip hop is, I think that, and I'll say it, I think we give hip hop a lot of crap. You know, I think that is definitely something, you know, this is one thing for me, you know, whenever it gets around Pride Month, I'm sure it happens for you too. Your phone starts buzzing off the hook.
I'm like, I was here the other 11 months too.
There's all kinds of, right, and you're here the other months too. But no, that's my exact point. You can't be Pride Month 24/7, but you could be Pride Month when it's Pride Month. And I think there's a difference between saying, okay, hey, we're gonna triple stock on lemonade today because we know that if we're gonna oversell because it's just Pride. People get thirsty, right? And then there's another thing to say, hey, we're going to go get Taylor Bennett to sell this lemonade because we know that gay people want to buy that.
Right.
Now, that is the marketing and that is the strategy that mass media marketing uses. If you go downtown right now during Pride Month, it's everywhere. Jay-Z didn't put that song out during Pride Month.
Right.
What reason did Jay-Z have to do that besides the fact to make people that are my stature and my skin color feel comfortable? When I went to London, when I went to Europe, and these kids are out there, and they're all focused on famous Dex. They all want to hear about Lil Pump, and that's what's up. We are leading the world. What the lies that were told to me as a kid, because I'm younger than both of you guys, right? I'm 22. The lies that were told to me as a kid.
How you know? I'm 21, dog. What you talking about?
Shots fired.
You just called me the old
I'm
head.
just saying the revolution gonna start with the youth.
Right.
Remember that.
I'm still the youth. I have a 2 in front of my number.
You look young. Look
thank
at
you. Thank you.
But I'm just saying.
Say that one more time.
All I'm saying is like, there is a cause and a call that I see very, very vividly from my generation of people that want and are demanding change. And we don't care what we have to do to get it, you know? And I think that it's kind of a fusion of both of you guys. And both of you guys' generation. And I see that so vividly. And that's what I was just somewhere and somebody was saying, so like, what would you want to be? What would you want to get out of this? I'm not going to say that. And I was like, I don't want to be a leader. I don't think that I need to be a leader. What's happening for me right now is that I'm meeting people like you. I'm meeting people like Rob, where I'm heading in a direction of something that I believe is true. And there's people that are aligning with me that also feel like that's the direction that we're moving. And these are things that we need to talk about. And when that happens, you don't gotta be a leader. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to be a leader. Leaders need followers. You don't wanna be a leader, you wanna be a superhero. Superheroes ride dolo, you know? So yeah, man, I'm sorry. I just, I love hip hop. But man, I wanna bring us together. And I think it's definitely through these conversations, but I think, we gotta be, very conscious of, what it's like, just period, to walk down without. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And I think in art, we can't be, because sometimes, and I get this a lot because I'm always saying my opinion and critiquing things. That's like the bulk of my like nonfiction work is just critique. And I think critique automatically gets conflated with like I hate something,
Right.
whereas like I don't critique anything I don't like. Usually, if I'm like writing about you,
Right.
I love or loved you, and it like is probably paining me to say this. But I think critique needs to be something where it's like, no, we're pushing. I critique hip hop because I love it so much and I want to see it grow. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any great artist that wasn't critiqued into their greatness.
Of course
And I
not.
think that like that's the space too. Like we just have to.
I think black people too. Like, I mean, how many times I know as a kid when people would tell me to change my form, I quit the basketball team because I couldn't shoot the ball right. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm just saying,
But
like,
so many people have that experience, and some people quit the basketball team, and some people become Michael Jordan. Yeah,
Right, and some people keep going and become Michael Jordan. But what I'm just saying is that I think a huge thing, especially like we keep talking about hip hop, we can't talk about hip hop without talking about the African American community, is perseverance.
right,
You know, me and my manager, he's 21. Like, we've been best friends. He met me doing something I shouldn't have been doing when I was 16. And we had an idea that we were going to go, and we got gone. But I didn't get gone because I was hard working. I got gone because I was afraid to live in Chicago.
right,
You get what I'm saying? And I know that that's similar reasons. We all decided that we were going to be better and work harder because there's something that we're fighting for, and there's somebody that we love and that we believe in. It's about family. And I think we really got to bring it back to the fundamental values before, like, where's dad? Where's mom? Where's brother? Where's after school program? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It can't just be hip hop. That's
can't just
the
because
idol.
hip hop. I know we think we're Martin Luther King, but no, we got to start calling these congressmen. Like, we got to start talking to our government. Like, that's what we do in Chicago. Like, you come to Chicago, you come hang out with me and Chance, you'll see that's what we do. We get out here and we break down barriers because we know that as hip hop artists, we can't do it all.
Right.
That's why I'm talking to you.
yeah,
Because, but I do there, and I think that, and you know what? Something I do believe, I think that that Jay-Z, you dig that we got from him. I think that's the only, I think, unfortunately, compensation that we gonna get from that older generation of people that have been, because that's gone. But I'm talking about new. You guys got Taylor Bennett sitting here. Like, you got a bisexual rapper that wants to change the world. You know what I'm saying? How do we find more artists like this? Like, I've been playing Pride events and I've been meeting I met Miami Tip the other day. I was hanging out with India Moore since I've been here, that's on Pose. How do we all get in a room and how do we say, hey, let's do this next year?
right.
Like, let's organize our own Pride Fest. Like, let's not, and we could do it. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with us three, black men, African American men. You know what I'm saying? No matter if we're gay, because it should matter too.
Right.
And that's something that I really hate. Like, and I know, we have to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like, we're not trying to be super loud and free. We're trying to say that there's no difference between you and me.
Right. Yeah, or there is a difference, but that difference doesn't talk about like my like worthiness or how good I am. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Are we getting off topic?
No. But it's the same difference as if you're from Brooklyn. We all have differences, right? I'm from Brooklyn. You're from Cali. We both love hip hop.
Right.
You know something I don't. I know something you don't. Let's get together. Like, like who you sleep with. Like, quite honestly, no offense.
Don't got nothing to do.
Don't matter to me.
Yeah,
For real.
It's
though.
cool. Who I sleep with, I'm sure don't what I do.
Care
when
about
I'm
what
home
you
at
do.
night.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Unless they're very famous and like married. I said, unless they're famous and married, then I'll be like, because I just like gossip.
Yeah. But we trying to see who Taylor Bennett is dating. That's what it is.
Right.
The more famous you get. But I just wanted to thank you guys both because I think having this conversation here, and I encourage everybody out there, start having the same conversations. Like you can film it, and it could be on your podcast. It could be on YouTube. It could be on Twitter.
Talk about it.
It could be on IG. It could just be amongst your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But have these conversations. Don't be afraid to have these conversations. Don't be afraid to admit what you don't know. Like I did a lot of listening today because I'm really trying to learn. I want to be, again, an ally. I want to be a proponent for change.
Right. And I know this
and dope music.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just saying, because I know this is like, that's kind of like the Rob Markman, like winding down. I just wanted to say, man, I know I've said it off camera. What you do here, what you guys are doing, what the generation and the work, effort that you guys are putting in to change what's going on, to give me the platform, to give him the platform for us to be able to come in here and really talk to hip hop, because you the voice of the streets. Bro, come on, man. Like we thank you for being a good person. Thank you for wanting to cover this. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for making a difference.
Nah, man, it's a no-brainer, man. Thank you. And it's all for the love of hip hop. It's for the love of the culture.
Love of people, man.
And love
Everything
of people.
Taylor said, retweet. Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, that's our time, man. But again,
thank you, man. Appreciate
just really
you.
want to thank you.
Rob.
Good luck
Thank
with the
you,
project.
Man. Love, man.
Good luck with the next piece. Follow Myles on Twitter, man. I'm telling you. It's fun. We out.